Okay, so it's hot out here in St. Louis today, but this is cool. So this is the DJI Power 1000, and I've partnered with DJI for this video to kind of talk about what this power station can do. So obviously I'm outside right now, and this thing excels when you are outdoors doing camping or picnics or just doing whatever in your backyard, because this thing does have a total battery capacity of 1024 watt hours. And as far as output, 2200 watts is going to be very stable that it can put out until the battery completely depletes, but it does have a max output power of 2600 watts and a peak output power of 4400 watts. Now, typically people are going to be using this for tablets and laptops and cameras and different things like that. So the stable output is going to be easy for that. But the peak output is pretty impressive because you can plug in something like a high powered tool if you are working in your garage, or something that really draws a lot of power, especially just initially. And this thing will be able to handle that surge of power when you do plug it in. And since we're already talking about plugging things in, let's talk about all the ports that you have here on the front. So on your left, you'll find two AC ports, which are basically your wall outlets. So again, these have that continuous output of 2200 watts, max output 2600 watts, and the peak of 4400 watts. And then in the middle underneath the display, you'll find your USB ports. So you will find two USB type A ports, and these both have a max output per port of 24 watts. And then you'll find your USB-C ports, and these both have a max output of 140 watts. Now that's impressive because a lot of times with these power stations, you'll find that they will say that they peak out at 140 watts, but those multiple ports are actually sharing that same max output. So if you have two things plugged in, they're probably only getting maybe 70 watts each or something like that. And so that makes this really convenient because a lot of smartphones are going to be able to charge at that higher output. You have some that can already do 100 watts and more, and then also maybe something like a laptop or a tablet that can draw more energy to be able to charge faster. These USB-C ports have you covered. Now to the left of the screen, you'll find the AC input for charging the power station itself. So you have two different charging modes. You have a 600 watt mode and also a 1200 watt mode. And you have this very convenient toggle on the front here to be able to switch between the two. Now, if you're just looking for speed efficiency, the 1200 watt charging mode will be able to get this thing charged from 0 to 100% in about 70 minutes. But if you're just going from 0 to 80%, that will only take 50 minutes. And the last two ports are going to be two SDC ports. Now, these are basically like a jack of all trades. So these can take cables that will allow you to charge this power station via either like a cigarette lighter. So a DJI does sell an adapter cable for that. So you can plug this into your car and have it charging while you're driving. And then also it does accept cables that will allow for solar recharging. And this thing can handle up to 6 solar panels, basically like connected together, charging this device at the same time. And it can handle a max input from those solar channels of 600 watts. And it can handle a max input from those solar panels up to 800 watts. And as I quickly mentioned before, DJI does sell the cables and adapters and things like that that will be able to take advantage of these ports for the car charging and also the solar charging. Now, you can also take advantage of these ports if you are charging certain drones from DJI themselves. And so, yeah, you can fast charge the intelligent batteries that come with some of the more popular drones like their Air 3 and Mavic 3 series. So, yeah, you can be out in the middle of the canyon somewhere and you've been flying your drone, but you quickly want to get it recharged. Being able to have this port that's really kind of made for that type of fast charging for their batteries is pretty useful for people who love to fly their drones a lot. Now, I don't have any of those drones. I know I need to get me one of those bad boys, but I do have a Mavic Mini drone that does have this triple wall charger that I normally use. But again, I can always just plug that into one of the AC inputs on this power station and be able to charge those batteries at the same time. And so that's a lot of the main specs out the way, but the use case for this for me is going to be for recharging my batteries for my cameras, and also when I am camping, recharging my phones or my tablets, or even a projector that I might be using to kind of entertain people at the campsite. But also for me, I can use this to recharge something like an electric scooter. And so sometimes when I am traveling, I take my scooter with me so I can just get to my destination and just ride around and explore. But I can actually recharge one of my electric scooters with this thing, or one of my batteries from my electric bike. So this thing has enough power to be able to help me out with that. And also for my fellow gamers out there, I like to use this thing with my portable gaming setup that I have. And so it's a TV with some speakers and also HDMI port, so I can plug in my Xbox or my Nintendo Switch. And now I can game anywhere I am. So if you are a gamer, gamer and you just want to kind of be able to game anywhere you are, and maybe you're using the internet from your smartphone to be able to do some multiplayer gaming, this thing can handle it for multiple hours. So I like to use it for that reason as well. Now this Power 1000 does weigh around 28 pounds, so it's nowhere near the heaviest power station that I've used, but it weighs a little bit. But you do have these two carrying handles right here that you'll be able to use to be able to pick this thing up and take it out of your car and go to your campsite or just move it around your house. But if you want something that's going to make it even easier, DJI does sell this protective bag for this. And this storage bag will keep this thing protected from scratches and bumps and stuff if you do have it in the trunk of your car. But the good thing is that it also does have some carrying handles that will allow for just one-handed carrying to be able to take it from one place to another. But also you can still use the power station while it's in the storage bag itself, because you do have these two flaps on each side that you can unzip, and this will allow for the ventilation ports that are on both sides of this power station to be able to still be productive and get the air in and out that it needs to. But also you do have this front flap that you'll be able to unzip, and then now you'll be able to have access to the ports and things. Now I do have a tip for you, because this front flap won't actually just stay up by itself. So if you are plugging things in, it'll kind of like flop back down. But I like to take the top cover that you use to put the power station into the bag itself, but I unzip that, put that little front flap in, and then I zip it tight back again, and that will keep that always open. So nice little tip for you. But also there is a dedicated arrow to show you where the power button is, because you can't see that power button while it's in this protective bag, but now you'll be able to know exactly where you need to press to be able to turn the power station on and off. And speaking of the power button, let's talk about it. So when you turn it on, it is a nice little green light, and that will turn on the color display on the front that gives you information as far as how much battery life you have, and also how much time you have depending on how much the power station is outputting as far as the power. Now if you don't need to look at the display, you can always just press the power button once, and that will turn the display off, and do the same thing to turn it back on. All right, so I covered how you can use this thing outdoors, but it is starting to get hot out here right now. So let me go indoors and show you how I use this thing for emergency blackout situations and just around the house. And okay, so now I'm back at home, and yes, I did stop to get my hair cut so I can look young again. Trust me, I'm 40 years old and my knees tell me every day. But anyway, so the main reason why I'm going to be using this Power 1000 at home is for like emergency situations. So recently I had a power blackout in my neighborhood because a tree branch fell on the power line. Now, the good thing is that I was able to use this and plug in one of my big tower fans that was able to keep a pretty good sized room nice and cool. But most importantly, the mission critical stuff is going to be the food. And with the price of food these days, you don't want any to go to waste. But look at me, I can definitely eat everything in the fridge, but luckily I don't have to, because I was able to plug my fridge into this power station. And the wattage that a fridge typically uses is going to be between like 100 and 400 watts or so, but sometimes it can actually dip below that because it's not always like using all of the energy to keep things cool. It kind of ramps up and goes down throughout the day. And so the amount of hours that you can get out of this power station while using it with your fridge is going to vary depending on your particular fridge and situation. But for me, I was able to use this for many hours and keep my food nice and cool. And on DJI's website, they do give you some approximate times for some items that you might want to plug into this, including like a juicer for around 3.6 hours, or a microwave for 1.3 hours, or a lamp for 92 hours, which is going to be very important if you lose power throughout the night. And they also say that you'll be able to charge a laptop around 9 times, or a drone around 10 times, and a coffee machine or electric fan for multiple hours and things like that. So again, these are approximate, but you can see that you'll be able to charge some mission critical stuff for a decent amount of time. And this can also function as a UPS. So UPS is used when you have the power station plugged into the wall, and then you also have some other things plugged into the power station. And then if the power goes out, the power station will notice that, and in just 0.02 seconds, it'll be able to notice that the power has gone out, and then it will start charging the devices that are already plugged into it. And so personally, I won't be using this as a UPS all the time, but if I did get a notification that a really bad snowstorm or a thunderstorm is coming my way, and I had some mission critical stuff as far as like medical equipment or things that I really want to make sure always have power, I can go ahead and set this up as a UPS and have it ready to go just in case the power goes out. And some other extra details about this power station is that it's rated for around 4,000 cycles, and at that time you'll be able to still be able to get like 70% of the total usage of the built-in battery, which is pretty good. And so according to this estimate, this is around like 10 years of common use, which I think is going to be plenty for most people. And oh, let me show you how quiet this thing is. So I do have a directional microphone pointed at me picking up my audio, and this thing has been on the whole time, and you probably have not been able to hear it. But even when you are recharging this in the 600 watt charging mode, it only goes up to like 23 decibels. So let me go ahead and plug it in right now so you can experience this. And let me open up this flap. I have it plugged in, and it is on the 600 watt mode. And actually, let me go ahead and pick this thing up and bring it right in front of the microphone, and I'll be quiet for a second. You can't hear it. I can't hear it. And so with that, I think that's about it. So yeah, this power station is really nice. I like the accessories, especially the case. I like the design of it. I like the fact that all of the ports are on the front, so it's very easy to access them. Sometimes the power stations have them on the sides or even on the back of it, so you have to kind of like remember where the ports are, but everything is laid out pretty nicely on this. So the normal price for this DJI Power 1000 is going to be $999. Now you might be able to catch it on sale like it is right now at the time of this video for the Labor Day sale, which is like $699. So that's a really great price. But check out the link down below to get the latest pricing of this power station. And at this link, you'll be able to buy one for yourself or for someone else if you're feeling very friendly, and you'll be a good friend if you do that. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching this video. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think about this power station. But like always, I will catch you later. Peace.